Hi, I'm Kesenya and welcome to Guiding Star Astrology. I'm your Astro Weather Girl, here with this week's Astro Weather Report. I'm going to show you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. In my videos, I use both Vedic and traditional Western techniques with tropical astrology, not sidereal astrology. I also use the traditional system of whole sign astrology for my analysis. You can use this video to the best of your advantage by listening to the introduction to understand what the week holds for you, and then going to the timestamps for your sun, moon, and rising sign to get a more personalized forecast for the week ahead. Astrology is not designed to scare you. It's designed to give you information so that you know what the good and the challenging energies in the week ahead will be, and you can therefore consciously work with them to the best of your advantage. Remember, knowledge is power. Now, there are scammers about, and so if you should receive a message from me on any platform requesting your money for a reading, know that it is a scam. Report them immediately. And now settle in and let's see what the astral skies have in store for the week ahead. Hello, my beloved YouTube family. It is a joy and a delight, as always, to be with you to look at the energies that are coming up this week in the astrological skies and how they're going to affect us. And this week we're looking at the 11th of February through to the 18th of February. A big special welcome to everyone who signed up for the Royal Stars Academy in January for that super bargain that I was offering. We have a huge class of attendees this year because of that, so we're all going to form a great group, a social connection of astrology lovers. Workshops are going to begin in March. I can't wait to connect with all of you who've signed up to learn astrology with me. Don't forget that the intermediate level, so the special was hosted for the introductory level of the Royal Stars Academy, but the intermediate level is due for release sometime in March. I'm running like a crazy woman trying to get everything complete and ready for the release of that. I'm hoping it will be in time for the spring equinox to release that piece of work for everybody. So sit tight, you'll hear all about it when that happens. Let's look at this week's energy focus, and here is the chart of the week ahead. Now, it's a week of conjunctions. First off the rank, we have a conjunction down here between, actually I'm not going to draw on the board, I'll just point with my little texter. We have a conjunction between Pluto and Mercury at 28 degrees, getting to the final degrees here of Capricorn. So this is happening on the 11th of Feb. Now watch those old mental pathways transform in our lives now. What we're doing is deconstructing any thought patterns that are keeping us from our true inner power. You know, the old self-sabotaging ways of thinking. I'm no good, I'm not worthy, everybody hates me, whatever, things that keep us from our power. We want to transform them. Now, this will be happening sort of a day before to a day after the 11th. Remember that these energies are in play around that time. It doesn't have to be exact, pinpointed to the second. So we're looking at day before, day after. Around the 11th of February, you're going to notice yourself observing how you're thinking, maybe about yourself or your situation or your friends or your family. You'll be, thinking along certain mental pathways, and you will be observing those mental pathways and how beneficial or not beneficial those thought processes, those thought patterns are to you being in your power, standing in your truth. This transit, as you can tell, is not for the intellectually shallow, for people who don't like, the introspection that comes with deep thinking. So if you're, a surface level person, you'll probably just continue on fluffing around, being at the surface level of things. If you like deep introspection, this is your day. You're going to love it. So deep psychological uncovering is very much favored by this energy. It can therefore lead to changes in our life circumstances because, for example, we realize that a friend is manipulating us. We can see certain behavior patterns that we may not have seen before. And we're like, well, I'm going to sort of back off from that friendship, or that relationship is actually toxic to me. So I'm going to, dissolve that. And Pluto is to compost things. So there might be a composting of certain friendships, certain relationship dynamics, certain communications that you've always had. You might say, I'm not going to enter into that debate anymore, that argument anymore. So changes, transformations, Pluto, transformations to certain friendships and certain relationships are also possible under this influence. We can also be very impatient with any superficial communication. Somebody rocks up to us, they say, hey, how's the weather? And we're like, oh, yawn, enough already with the weather. Let's talk about some meaty stuff. Superficial communications are out the door. This, unfortunately, though, so that's the positive side. This energy can lead to verbal power struggles because Pluto in his shadow energy wants power, control at all costs, and it can manipulate our words or the words of others to us, trying to, get power over us through our verbal talk or our written word. So we might be trying to manipulate someone, or someone might be trying to manipulate us through what they say, make us feel guilty, give us the condemnation kind of energy. Be aware of that. Fears and paranoias can also come to the surface of our mind. We might be chuffing along happy as Larry with life, and then on this day, the 11th of February, lo and behold, that old chestnut rises up in our consciousness again, and we're like, oh my goodness, I thought I dealt with that old chestnut. I thought I dealt with that old way of thinking. And now that fear and paranoia is back at the forefront of my mind again. OMG. Well, you can use that energy to your advantage by addressing it, dealing with it, peeling back the layers of why am I thinking that way? What from my childhood is influencing my thought patterns to be afraid or paranoid or anxious or attached or whatever? We then address those things that's how we can use these fears and paranoias that rise up in our awareness on this day. So these are all the calling cards of Pluto conjunct with Mercury. That's the positive, that's the negative. This is an annual combination. They meet together every year. So it's not unheard of, it's not unusual for us to go through this. In fact, it can be very healthy. It helps us to address what may have been hidden in our lives and deal with another layer of the old wounds and the old traumas and so forth, and address them. That needs to happen. And so we do this on a regular basis as not only Mercury interacts with Pluto, but the moon monthly interacts with Pluto in many aspects too. The moon, when it conjuncts with Pluto once a month, when it squares Pluto once a month, when it opposes Pluto once a month, it does that as well. The moon is our emotional self, dealing with the Pluto uncovering and deep psychological work. And then also we've got this Mercury, which is our mind and our thinking, and what do they call it? The grooves, the paths that the mind goes in, and we need to change those up to break free of the old patterns, to break out of our old mental constructs. So I'm rambling away here, which is, as you know, something I tend to do a bit. But this is an annual combination. It is nothing to be afraid of. You've gone through it many, many times before. It is actually for your greater benefit if you choose to use it that way. So you can get your headspace ready for this transit by reading psychological books or doing some form of therapy, whatever therapy looks like to you. For me, I love to dance. When I dance, all the tears come out if I'm sad, or all the to the powers that be come out if I'm angry about something. All the joy and the happiness comes out if I'm in a state of ecstasy about something. So I find dancing is my therapy. That's just me. You might have different ways of doing therapy. But under the influence of Mercury, the therapy tends to be geared towards writing things out, writing out your thoughts and feelings in a journal, or dissecting emotions with friends over a cup of coffee, ringing that, your bestie on the telephone. If you're into old school on the telephone, you might like to do a Zoom call, and just thrashing out, I've got this issue and it's really at the forefront of my mind. That's another Mercury energy. Mercury is friends. Mercury is talking. Mercury is writing. And it's also taking mental time out to ponder and to reflect on what's going on upstairs in the brain. So that is going to be a special day, and this is the day that we are going to focus on for our all signs breakdown in this video. So sit tight, that's coming in a second. But also on the 11th of February, that's Australian time. So early in the morning on the 11th of February, we're going to get a conjunction of Mercury and Pluto. But Mercury's moving quite swiftly at the moment. And also on the 11th of February, he's then going to chuff along into Aquarius. What does it mean when Mercury is in Aquarius for the next roughly 28 to 30 days? Well, do you like to play devil's advocate? This energy certainly does. When Mercury travels through Aquarius, we find that our thinking, Mercury is our mind and our thinking, it can be challenged in positive ways to become more all-encompassing, less biased, more just and fair. And that's maybe from somebody playing devil's advocate with us. So we might be playing devil's advocate with other people and sort of prodding them to think deeper about certain topics that we've sort of fluffed over in some way. But also we might find that people over the next 28 to 30 days-ish are playing devil's advocate with us. They're poking us in some way, prompting our thought patterns to consider a different perspective, to consider a point of view that is, like I said, more fair, more just, less biased. The equanimity, the equality of the Aquarius energy. So things are going to be happening that are going to poke us into thinking in a more all-encompassing way. We start to also think in ways that are quick, more intellectual, brighter, sparkier than usual. So you can get some great ideas over the next month or so. We might even find some quirky and unexpected solutions to our problems in life. We might be able to fix things that are not working for us because we're really tuned in mentally to great ideas, great solutions, problem-solving skills. So we might even surprise ourselves with what comes up. You might feel that your world is turned upside down recently for whatever reason. We are in the early energies of 2023, and let me just say, 2023 has brought massive changes, massive shifts to the energy on the planet. And 2023, as I mentioned, back in December, it starts at solstice. That's when we go into a new governing chart for the period from solstice to equinox. And so we've been in this brand new or different style of energy since then. And let me just say, the universe, the earth, what we're all experiencing has shifted quite dramatically for many, many people. And then when Mercury moves into Aquarius, any old problems left over from 2022 can find amazing, surprising solutions. And we're like, oh my goodness, I thought my world was falling apart, but I actually see a pathway through now that's going to put me in a better position in the long run, that's going to really work out well for me. I've just had to get mentally unstuck from what I thought life had to look like. Empowerment, so coming to us through Mercury moving into Aquarius this week. Now, as I said, this is a month of, or rather a week of conjunctions. One of the other conjunctions that's occurring on the 15th of February is this one, Neptune conjuncting Venus. Well, this is a lovely little annual combination as well. This is what we refer to as the most romanticized day of the year. Not because it's near Valentine's Day, it is the day after Valentine's Day, 15th of Feb. That's got nothing to do with it. That's a materially crafted holiday to make money for the greeting card companies. You can all get lovey-dovey if you like. Why not? We need, do we need an excuse to get romantic? And on that topic, I need to remind everybody that my wonderful colleague Gaia is actually offering a discounted reading, horary astrology reading, all around love and relationships. It's currently 20% off the usual price. Go to the astrology readings page on the Guiding Astrology, at the Guiding Astrology website. I'll put the link in the banner below. And get your love reading from Gaia while it's going for a bargain. 20% off just for Valentine's Day, only for 1 week. Okay? So this energy doesn't always occur around Valentine's Day. It just happens to be occurring around Valentine's Day because Venus is in the vicinity of Neptune at this time. Sometimes, when my daughter was born, Neptune was, where was Neptune when my daughter was born? It was up around Capricorn, oh, no, it wasn't. No, it was more in Aquarius. And so, that was completely out of the zone of the 14th of February, Valentine's Day. So don't get me Don't get me wrong here. This has nothing to do with the 14th of February. It just happens to be falling at that time that Neptune is in this area of the chart when Venus is also in the same area of the chart. Okay, enough trying to explain dates and times. This is the most romanticized day of the year. Why? Because Venus is love and romance, and Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. It is unconditional love. It is the love that gives, not expecting anything in return. It's that beautiful, high quality love that is just, all embracing, all encompassing. I just love everyone, that kind of beautiful, beautiful energy. It can, in the shadow side of Neptune, if you've watched my series on YouTube about Neptune energy, we know Neptune can sometimes pull the wool over our eyes, be deceptive. He is, or she, if you think Neptune is a she, there is some variance there about whether Neptune is male or female in energy. It is a very difficult planet, let's just say. Very, very difficult to get a grasp on, to understand. Slippery, I've heard it described as, which makes sense seeing as Neptune was the king of the oceans. But it is this romantic, idealized, highly beautiful in its best expression energy. It's angelic. Angelic love is what we see in the best expression of Neptune. So when we've got the planet of love and relationships, Venus, connecting with this high romantic, in its best form, energy of Neptune, and it's occurring in one of, I would say the most romantic sign of all, Pisces. There are some other romantic signs, I must say, but it all depends, and maybe I should do a video on this. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do a video on what signs are romantic and in what ways they're romantic. Pisces is romantic in the most idealized fairy tale, magical Hollywood love story manner, okay? But there are other signs that have romantic energy about them too, but in different ways, maybe more practical or logical or warm and giving and what have you. But Pisces is this fairy tale romance stuff. So to have these two very relationally oriented planets conjuncting in Pisces, OMG, it is a special time. This in your lifetime, my friends, is only going to occur for a few more years. Once Neptune moves out of Pisces, you're never going to get a Venus-Neptune conjunction in Pisces again in your lifetime. So make the most of this romantic energy while Neptune is here in the sign of Pisces and they conjunct annually. It's not going to do that once Neptune moves into Aries. So what can we do with this energy? Well, it gives us the ability to generate more artistic production endeavors. So writing poetry, writing music, doing film or photography, writing a beautiful script for a love story, writing a novel, like anything that is creative is juiced up in us under this energy. Also, romance, obviously, without question, is juiced up as well. So perfect energy to, organize a date, send your loved one some magical expression of your feelings for them. It's important to keep both feet on the ground. Let's not be, carried away with our watery energy here. But it is such a beautiful opportunity to plan for happy experiences and events, plan for a date, surprise your partner, love it up on this day. Just so you know, I mean, it might be the most ordinary date in the world, picnic in the park like you do, for Valentine's Day every year. But under this energy, you're going to enjoy that picnic in the park more than you ever have before, because there's this feeling of, I just love you and I'm so, big-hearted about how I feel about you. Enjoy it, make the most of it, milk this for all you can, my lovely friends. Why not? I remember watching one of my favorite films, A Room with a View. And in it, one of the characters says, do we find love so often in life that when it appears, we should turn it off the box? If you're familiar with that film, you'll know the scene that I'm talking about. And it's so true, love is precious. We need to treasure it, whether we've been married for 50 years, like my parents have been, or whether, we are just falling in love for the first time ever. We need to consciously, actively embrace love activate love, treasure our partner always. That requires effort sometimes when you've been together 50 years like my parents. But this energy helps us to activate that more and get the most out of this beautiful day of romance. So enough about that little number. We also have another conjunction, and this is the final conjunction of the week, occurring between the Sun and Saturn. And again, this is an annual connection. This is happening at 27 degrees of the sign of Aquarius. Now, I forgot to mention that, I just back up a second, Venus-Neptune conjunction's at 24 degrees of Pisces. Guess what? That is the degree of Pisces. If you're familiar with the work of Nicholas Stelyanovich, who has a wonderful degree theory, 24 degrees is the degree of Pisces. So extra, extra romantic, sensual, beautiful, sensitized, heightened love experiences available to us because of the degree that this is occurring at as well. Back now to our Saturn-Sun conjunction at 27 degrees. Okay, and for all those who are wanting to know, what is the 27th degree now? It's the degree of Gemini. So there you go. But let's take a look at what this conjunction is all about. Has life been feeling a bit heavy for you lately? Well, this combination is actually going to ask you to grow up and mature a bit more. It's going to ask you to shoulder your burdens, and if life has been hard for some reason, maybe some event that's occurred or an experience you're having or a health issue or something like that, this is an energy that says, okay, how do I shoulder my burdens more maturely instead of acting like a little child throwing a tantrum about my circumstances? So you might find yourself under this energy on, as I said, the 17th, taking on extra responsibilities. Deciding, I'm going to man up and shoulder my burdens, or, woman up, let's not be sexist, and shoulder my burdens. We might even be asked in some way under this energy to be a leader for other people, to be a shining beacon for our children in how to deal with a difficult situation wisely, strongly, maturely. We might be a beacon for, our church group or our social network or something like that in how to be responsible, how to be dutiful, how to be enduring in some difficult life circumstance, like I said. But you know what? Conjunctions often form and they're not a negative aspect and they're not a positive aspect. They carry qualities of both. The difficult, the yin and the yang, the difficult and the blessed. So Saturn, Sun, it's not all duty and diligence. These two planets, though they're enemies in the Vedic system of astrology, they're actually a helpful combination if you want recognition. If you've been working hard on something in your life, maybe a project or looking for a way you can shine out your light into the world or share your message with other people, if you've been, diligently plugging away at whatever that desire for recognition might be, if you've been working hard on that, this is a day when you can be really satisfied with your achievements. Maybe you've released a podcast or something like that and you're like, you know what? It doesn't matter if I only get 10 people listening to it. That is a really great message. That is a really profound, powerful message. I'm really proud of it. You are satisfied with the work, Saturn, that you've done because it is going to enable you to shine. Unfortunately, when Saturn's involved, being able to shine usually takes time. So you might, let's use the analogy of the podcast, you might release your podcast to the world. It does only get 10 listens, but over time people share that podcast and they're like, have you listened to this message that this person has to say? Wow, it's profound and it's deep and it's moving. Hey, listen to this. And it passes on to someone else and passes on to someone else. They pass the link on to someone else. And over time, Saturn, your ability to shine with that piece of work blossoms, fruits, matures. So don't expect boof, there you are, fireworks all of a sudden with some project you've been working on, but do expect to be satisfied with what you're doing. Now, circumstances that unfold on this day, the 17th of February, are going to alert you to how well you've been doing since Saturn and the Sun conjuncted a year ago. Okay. if you feel on the 17th of February that you're successful in some way, you know, and I'm not talking about all of a sudden, you know, you're richer than Bill Gates, you know, you're empowered in some way. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, you know what, I've made great strides forward in producing the Royal Stars Academy, you know, and I'm really happy with the feedback that I'm getting. I'm really happy with how the course is running and how smoothly things on the platform operate. And you know what? That's success, you know? So if you feel successful since this time last year, if you feel more stable in life since this time last year, it's alerting you to the fact that you've been doing well. You've been doing the work. You've been putting in the effort. And now here's a stage of reward for that. If you're feeling isolated, that's a Saturn energy as well. If you're feeling insecure and fearful about life, well, it's speaking to this is since last year around this time. It's speaking to the fact that it may well be time to change where you're heading, where life has been taking you. It's time to restructure your life. So look at the last year. You know, are you feeling more successful and stable? Thumbs up. Well done you. Pat on the back. If you're feeling like life is volatile, you're feeling isolated, you're feeling insecure, then it's time to take a look at the structures in your life and make the changes. Saturn is structures. Make the changes needed in your life so that you can build towards a better future at this time next year. That might mean looking for another job. It might mean, cutting back things in the budget. It might mean looking at ways to satisfy your heart with what you're doing in life, with what you're producing, instead of, like a lot of the time as mums, let's face it, we focus so much on our children and what they're doing that we neglect ourselves. Well, maybe this is a calling card if you're feeling isolated and insecure, that it's time to stop focusing so much on other people and give yourself a break to focus on you. Maybe some therapy that you need, maybe a project you want to undertake. Maybe, you just want to feel more satisfied in the home that you live in. And so, what have you got to do to make that happen? Where do you need to restructure your life? Saturn Sun might be calling you to address that sort of thing as well. So I've blabbed enough about the coming week in the astrological sky. Let's see what's happening for all signs. And guess what? We're going to be looking at Pluto-Mercury conjunction. So we're starting with Capricorn, and we're going to do Capricorn rising. We're going to do Capricorn, Sun, and Moon energy. Okay, so for these guys, Capricorn rising, Sun, and Moon, my beautiful friends, actually all my besties tend to have some strong Capricorn. It's really, really interesting. Maybe my Pisces soul needs that bit of Capricorn stability. But this is the house of survival where this is occurring. And we're going to be focusing our thoughts on how can I thrive and survive better in life? What do I need to do to restructure and change my life so that I can thrive and flourish instead of struggling? So you're going to have some deep thinking around those topics right now. You'll also be having some deep thinking, I feel, about your physical health and well-being. This is the house of the body. How fit are you? How strong are you? Like I've been having discussions about this with my son recently, who spends, he's doing his final year of high school, and he spends all his time sitting at the computer. If he's not doing schoolwork, he's doing computer games, and he has done that for years, and he's starting to have some problems with his core strength. So we have been focusing deeply and big discussions on how to strengthen his core and how to create routines in his life that give him more core strength. That's just an example of the kind of topics you might be looking at as a Capricorn rising Sun or Moon person with a conjunction of Mercury and Pluto. You'll be thinking about, how do I make my body function better? How do I use my body better? How do I address any physical effects that are happening in my life in a really powerful way? Pluto is power. You'll be very much thoughts going to that realm of life. Now, also, you will also be dealing with any psychological hang-ups this particular week. they're going to surface now. So if you're feeling insecure about your physical self, your body, your appearance in any way, that's going to come to the surface, you know. Maybe like me, you've got a little tummy because you've had 3 kids and you're like, oh, you know, usually you don't worry about it. You just sort of manage to, you know, dress nicely so it's not so noticeable. Lo and behold, Capricorn friends, on the 11th of February, when this conjunction occurs, you might, any hang-ups, any paranoias you've got about a physical part of yourself, like a little belly after having had 3 kids, going to come up for you to go, oh man, okay, I've got to deal with that. I've got to do something about that. It's going to surface now, okay? So just realize psychological hang-ups might arise about the body, alrighty? And we all have them, let's face it, you know. We've all got something or other else that, yes, we would like to change about ourselves, but just realize it's going to come to the surface again this week, that old chestnut. There could be some verbal power struggles under this energy that might happen. Now, that could be that you might receive an email from somebody and it's challenging and it's confronting to you. A secret might come out. Now, that said, this is all happening in the house of you. So maybe a secret about you comes out. Or maybe you learn something very deep and profound about yourself. Verbal power struggles, you might be on the receiving end of a verbal manipulation or oppression through words. Be aware that that could be the case. In your chart, Capricorn rising people, we have Mercury ruling Virgo, your 9th house, and also Gemini, your 6th house. So there could be empowerment because, you know, remember a conjunction is both good and shadow filled. There could be empowerment of a desire to travel or some sort of education that you want to receive or a connection with some mentor or teacher. There could be an empowerment of that in some way under this energy. And there also could be some empowerment of a work situation or a relationship with a colleague, a health area. Could be getting empowered, like some solutions, some problem solving that relates to health and well-being or your daily life. There could be transformation of a diet or an exercise program that might be a result of this day as well. Alrighty, moving right along, we're going to move to Aquarius now. Aquarius rising, sun or moon puts the conjunction of Mercury and Pluto into your 12th house, my friends. So what does this mean? It means that this is where you might be getting some very mentally profound downloads, intuitive feelings, forebodings. There could be signs and omens that pop up everywhere for you on this day. Mercury is how we think. Pluto is the deep psychological stuff coming up. In this very psychological house, the 12th house, often it might be something from the past, a past life, or a hang-up from childhood or something that bubbles to the surface now. But I was talking with a friend just this week about how everything is connected, you know. Everything in life, everything in the world, everything in nature is connected. And what we mean by that is, you know, in ancient times when divination was practiced, they did so. They believed in divination because they believed that the flight path of a bird connected to something that was experienced by the human being that observed that flight path of the bird, for example, because everything is connected. The old Hermetic principle of as above, so below, and as within, so without, everything is connected. So that's what divination is. It's seeing the connections between, you know, an omen, like a duck waddling across the road while you're driving down the street, you know, that kind of thing. What does that mean? Google it and find out, you know, seeing a duck, what does that mean? Duck totem, what does that mean? That kind of thing. So back to you guys, my Aquarius friends, this energy is saying there's going to be lots of omens popping up around you. Keep your eyes peeled. Be open to what the universe is trying to say, because it's really got a message coming deep from the subconscious for you. Okay? So you're going to be mentally more tuned in to receiving those messages from the divine, even to receiving messages from deceased loved ones. Some of you Aquarian people might have a dream of someone who has passed. You might have, like everybody knows because I shared it last year, somebody very precious to me passed away. And on this day, I'm not Aquarian, but if I was, I might expect that there might be sort of a popping up of them into my sphere of reality again. Like I might see or hear a song on the radio that was their favorite song or something like that. So get ready, my friends. There is likely to be some communication from a deceased ancestor, deceased loved one. There could even be communication from your past life self. Now, I don't want to get into a big discussion about whether time is linear or whether we're having lives all occurring at the same time, but let's call it past lives for the sake of the argument. Past life hang-ups, traumas that sit deep in our subconscious self going to be bubbling up to the surface. And so this energy is going to say, time to do therapy on those things, time to peel back another layer, time to understand why I have this behavioral pattern that's sabotaging me, that's holding me back, that's keeping me from my power. It's really time for dealing with those inner fears and psychological hang-ups when they surface, especially ones you might not have, you might not realize where they're coming from. It could well be a past life. Secrets can come out. Now, this is a house of secrets, and Pluto is a very secretive kind of energy. It does like to compost things. It brings things to the surface. But so Pluto is an energy where it's talking about secrets that we have within us in our subconscious, but it also wants to bring those secrets out to be transformed. Okay, so yeah. So there's a lot of secrets coming to the surface about the self. It could even be that a secret about, your grandfather or your mother's grandfather or some lineage that you have comes out and is exposed in some way for some reason. Okay, that's the main thing. Now, also, what does Mercury rule in an Aquarius chart? Well, Mercury rules the 5th house and the 8th house. So that means that Mercury ruled areas of the chart are going to get more empowerment on the 11th of February. So it could be that Mercury ruling the house of children might mean that your children in a certain circumstance are empowered, or the feeling of love you have for a boyfriend or a girlfriend is enhanced because of Pluto's conjunction with the ruler of the 5th house and the ruler of the 8th house. It could be that your creativity is, put on steroids because this is the house of our creative self-expression, because the ruler of the 5th house is conjunct with Pluto, which empowers things. 8th house influence, just be careful because, don't be careful. What it represents is a big transformation may occur for you on the 11th of February or around the 11th of February. So there could be some big life transformation that sends you in a different direction. You thought you were heading this way in life and then boom, you're going that way. Some transformational experience. And it could just be that you realize something about yourself and your journey and life that absolutely changes everything. So it could be an inner transformation that sends your life in a different direction. This is the house of big 180-degree turns around, big, sudden, shocking changes. So because Mercury rules the 8th house, that is entirely possible. It could also have to do with a spouse's money. Just be careful if you've got a partner or a business partner, and they, this could spell perhaps some sort of financial loss in some way. So just be careful of that. Don't worry, you'll probably, if they do lose some money, they'll probably get it back because Pluto is to transform and to build things up, crash down into ashes and then rise like the phoenix. So if that happens, don't be too fearful. It will likely all turn out in the long run. All right, thank you, Aquarius. And now for Pisces. Well, Pisces, enjoy this beautiful romantic energy of Neptune and Venus that I spoke about in the introduction occurring in your sign, because that's going to be lovely for you. But what we're talking about today is actually Mercury conjunct with Pluto up here in your 11th house on the 11th of February. Well, this is where we're going to have a lot of deep thinking. You'll be analyzing your networks, your friendships, your connections. okay, and thinking, okay, like I thought that was my stronghold, my powerhouse, that group that I was involved in, but maybe I might need to look deeper into that. Maybe I need to expand my network or change my network or include somebody else in my network. We're doing a lot of deep thinking about our friendships. And in fact, as I said in the intro, we might be changing some friendships. We might be saying, look, that friendship came in for a season. It was great. It was wonderful. But I think I've outgrown it. I don't think it's for me anymore. So there might be some changes to friendships that occur because of this energy. We'll also be thinking deeply about ways we can be profitable and gainful. So if you're an entrepreneurial Pisces type, and a lot of you Pisces people are, because Mars, the planet of entrepreneurship, rules your house of finances, self-sufficiency, and also being blessed. So a lot of Pisces people are quite entrepreneurial. You'll be thinking deeply about, well, what ways can I, generate more profitability in my life? That might be very much at the forefront of your mind. You might even, if you're this way inclined, you might be thinking about the stock market and investments, because the stock market is connected to the 11th house. You might be thinking about websites, website design, how to represent yourself out there on that sphere. That can come up as well. You might be thinking deeply about your desires and your ambitions and wishes for life as well, and how you can achieve what you want. So they're going to be the focuses of your mental energy on this day. But look, you might also find that you are dealing with some sort of psychological hang-ups in the relationships that you have with other people. Inner fears, inner insecurities come to the surface so that you will address them and resolve them and peel back the layers. Why am I always shy around this person? Why, when I go and participate in this group, this organization, do I never act like myself? Am I always, putting on this mask, Pisces? You'll be dealing with a lot of, or trying to understand a lot of those perhaps dynamics that, you subconsciously do, You might even be able to, if you can, detach a little bit, observe your behavior in large groups and analyze it. Do some deep analytical, why am I like that? What is this benefiting me? Why can I not be myself? Kind of stuff. Now, there is also the possibility of verbal power struggles. And this is likely going to come from friendship groups, okay? So some of you might have a bit of a clash with a friend. Secrets might come out about a friend, or a friend might be gossiping about you or sharing your secrets, okay? This is the shadow side of this energy. A friend might be manipulating you through their words, that kind of high school or teenagery kind of BS that goes on, grow up, be mature. But, do we ever grow up? Do we ever mature and get past our childish behavior? That's the goal, isn't it? But sometimes we don't. Manipulation by friends. So be aware that could be on the cards for some of you today. Now, finally, in a Pisces chart, what does Pisces rule? Pisces rules the 7th house of relationships and partnerships, and it also rules the 4th house of family. So this is what might be getting empowered today. A family relationship, a connection with a mother figure. Your home might be being in some way empowered. I am thinking about what is coming up for me on the 11th. And you know what? I just have to share this because, obviously I'm Pisces and I want to give some examples. But I have been wanting to do a piece of renovation on my home since I bought this house years ago. And it's this weekend that piece of renovation is finally getting done. So there is Pluto empowering the ruler of my 4th house of home. I love how astrology works. It's as simple as that. Now, I've been planning to do this reno piece for eons, and I've only just been able to, shift the gears to make it happen this weekend, just in time for this beautiful conjunction. No coincidences, my friends. That's how astrology works. So it could be a reno, it could be a family dynamic, it could be a relationship with children or parents or a mother figure. All of these 4th house things are empowered. Relationships are empowered. If you are in a relationship with a business partner or a romantic partner, a committed partner, it is going to be empowered and made more connected, deeper, more beautiful, more profound under this energy. So yeah, make the most of that. You know, I said for the conjunction of Venus and Neptune, you know, make sure you make the most of that energy and do something romantic, have a date and really milk it for all it's worth. Well, Pisces also on the 11th, I think you need to be connecting deeply. Pluto is deep and intense, deeply with your loved ones, particularly your better half, as they say. You know, create some energy where you will really connect with that person, because it's going to be empowered. It's going to be uplifted on this day. So why not? How wonderful. Thank you, Pisces. Aries rising, sun or moon people. Well, my friends, the energy of, the energy of the conjunction of Mercury and Pluto is occurring in your 10th house. And this is happening on the 11th of February. And of course, this energy of Pluto conjunct Mercury is going to be affecting how we are an example to others, because this is the highest point in the chart. It's an angular house. It sits up there for the whole world to see. So in some way, Aries, you're on display this week. Your thinking is on display. How you're dealing with your psychological hang-ups and inner fears is out there on display for the world to see. Also, any verbal struggles are going to be out there in the open. So be careful, Aries, because if you are the one doing the verbal attacking, manipulation, oppression through words, revealing any secrets out there on the web, maybe you jump online and leave a nasty message or something on a YouTube page or something like that, it will come back to haunt you. Okay, so be very careful about what you're tempted to do verbally, Aries, on the 11th of February. Equally, be wary that around powerful figures, authority figures, people in positions over and above you in the hierarchy of things. This is a house of hierarchy. Unfortunately, we live in a world where there are hierarchies. That may change in the coming years, but at the moment we live in a world of hierarchies. Those people above you might be manipulating you, might be oppressing you, might be revealing your secrets or demanding that you keep theirs. So those sorts of shadow side Pluto energies might be out there in the world going on in your life. So you might be thinking very deeply at this time, Aries, about, okay, not so much my future, but okay, my career. What am I doing to succeed in life? What am I doing to garner respect and to have success in what I esteem success to be? You're going to be really honing in on that and thinking, how can I change what I'm doing now to get more success? How can I act in a different way? Or how can I up-level my respectability in society? How can I rise up to the next level, next rung of the social order of things? Remember, I said this is a hierarchical house. We might be thinking deeply about those topics and addressing those topics. So any hang-ups, any inner fears and insecurities you've got about your ability to achieve in the world, about your ability to be successful, about your level of public approval, about your validation from the world, they're going to come up for you to address psychologically now. So you might feel a bit insecure about what the world thinks of you and what they're going to say about you, and that kind of thing. There's some insecurity there. So if you've been going through a bit of a difficult time that you've been keeping to yourself, it's not that this is going to all be exposed, but you might be a bit paranoid and a bit fearful about what are they all going to say about me when they find out that this. So there can be some inner tension and fear. Write about it. Talk about it with friends. Get it out of your psyche so it's not going to eat away at you, okay? Now, so we've talked about the verbal power struggles, etc. We've talked about deep thinking and the psychological hang-ups in this realm of the chart. What else is important to Aries people is what Mercury rules. It's going to be in the positive, empowered around the 11th of Feb. So Mercury rules the sign of Gemini, your third house. So it's third house things that could be getting empowered. A relationship with a sibling might be being, really enhanced. really transformed, really blessed under this energy. If you run your own business, if you have your own method of generating money for yourself, you might find there's an empowerment here. Maybe you're a beautician and you've, done waxing and lashes and all that sort of thing for years and years. Under this energy, the conjunction of Mercury, Pluto in your 10th house, Aries, 10th house of career, and Mercury ruling your 3rd house of the business, you might find that your business just expands. Suddenly you got people asking for, tanning, salon treatment, and, can you cut my hair as well? And can you do my nails? And you're like, man, I need to expand my business, and perhaps I need to get a venue and bring in a nail technician and get somebody who specializes in waxing and somebody who does hair coloring. Let's just blow this thing right out, Empowerment of some skill, talent, small business kind of ability that you've got going on. Also, Mercury in a Aries chart rules the 6th house, Virgo. So there might be an empowerment of, again, we come back to a work situation, what you do to pay the bills. I'm loving this for Aries. I'm so excited about this for Aries. Paying the bills. It all ties into and the work you do every day ties into your own small business, if you've got one, and career. It looks like being, you're really getting a leg up into enhancing how you're getting by, how you're making money, how you're, staying afloat, how you're paying the bills and surviving and thriving. It also speaks to me of empowerment of health and diet as well. So I think that's lovely for many, many of our Aries friends. All right, now Taurus rising, Taurus sun, Taurus moon people. Now, if you're a Taurus person and you don't know what your rising sign is and you don't know what your moon sign is, I would encourage you to check that out by going to a website like astro.com, type in your information, find out so that you can have access to all the info that astrology, all the goodies that astrology has for you. But if you're Taurus rising, sun or moon, this one's for you. The conjunction of Mercury and Pluto is occurring in the 9th house. And this is where we're going to be thinking very deeply. We're going to start thinking about, well, what's my mission? What's my purpose? Why am I even here? Maybe, you're in your mid-50s or something and the kids have all flown the coop and they're off doing their own thing. And you're like, well, what am I, without them in my life? What's life all about for me? What's my purpose? What's my mission? And this energy is going to cause that sort of stuff. And you don't have to be in your mid-50s to be thinking deeply about your mission or purpose. That was just an illustration. You're going to be thinking deeply under this energy. Okay, well, who am I? Where am I? What am I going? What am I doing with my life? Deep thinking about that sort of thing. It's about finding your truth, finding an understanding of what life's all about for you. So I would encourage you to perhaps journal about this, write this down, write ideas down about, what am I good at? In fact, I always tell my children to do this. Write 5 things down that you're good at and 5 things that you love to do. And wherever there's a crossover in that, that's often your purpose. That's often a mission path that you can expand upon and pursue. So 5 things you're good at and 5 things that you love to do. Explore that because this energy is going to be all about finding mission, finding purpose, meaning for life. What else can I say about this? Well, this is a house of, in the Vedic system, father figures, people of inspiration, people that teach us. So it's teachers, inspirational figures and gurus and things. And so just be careful because there might be some verbal power struggles with these kinds of energies, these kind of people in your life today. So, you might, look, let's face it, we're all human. Even our inspirational figures, even our gurus, even our teachers can oppress us through their words or manipulate us from time to time. So have your wits about you, because the shadow energy of Pluto, Mercury in the 9th house does encompass that. Be aware. So verbal power struggles with people of influence, people that we usually look up to and respect, okay? Now also some psychological hang-ups come up to the surface now. If you have a hang-up about your beliefs, maybe you have been like, okay, this is a house that has to do with prayer. Maybe you believe that prayer is this, prayer looks like this, and it's to this being, and it's, I'm praying to somebody outside of me. And maybe something's happened in your life where you're now insecure about, well, hang on, that belief, that person that I'm praying to, that energy, that God-like figure that I'm praying to, I have a bit of a hang up about that now. Quite frankly, when I went through my releasing of Christianity and the upbringing that I had with Christianity, I couldn't use the word God anymore because it had certain connotations, and I had certain psychological hang-ups about God. So, I had to find when I prayed that it had to be something else, So that's what I'm trying to say here, and I hope I'm making sense, Taurus. These kinds of things about your beliefs, prayer, meditation, who you're praying to, what meditation is to you, could be going through a big transformation under this energy. And any psychological hang-ups you've got around who you prayed to, or what you think of meditation or yoga, or what you think of other spiritual practices, might go through a bit of a cycle of needing to be dealt with, needing to be addressed, needing to be changed under this energy, okay? And finally, let's just talk about what Mercury rules. Mercury in a Taurus chart rules the 2nd house. Well, that speaks to me of empowerment of the financial situation, Taurus. So I feel that something's going to happen this week that could really help you feel more confident, more empowered about a financial circumstance that you are living through at the moment, because Mercury rules the 2nd house of money and self-sufficiency, and Pluto is to empower something. So it's going to get an empowerment of self-sufficiency, an empowerment of your financial circumstances. But also Mercury rules the 5th house. So to me, that speaks of empowerment of a relationship with a child, or actually more to the point, your child being empowered rather than the relationship with you. That's more of a 4th house thing. So your child is, if you've got a child, if you've got a few kids, they are going to be somehow empowered in their lives this week. Set free, able to sort of own their own power, take a step forward in being, more autonomous in their life, more empowered and independent in their life. So that's really lovely too. A lover, a boyfriend, a girlfriend might be empowered in some way because of this energy occurring in your chart this week. Also your creativity, your ability to express yourself in a creative way with a creative project or an idea is also empowered and enhanced. So if you've got any good sort of light bulb moments, pay attention to them, run with them. This is a great energy for utilizing that. Thank you, Taurus. Now, Gemini rising, sun or moon people, the energy of the conjunction of Pluto and Mercury is occurring for you in the 8th house. So this is where, you ultra deep thinking, my Gemini friends, because this is a deep thinking house, and Pluto is a deep thinking planet, and here it is with Mercury, the planet of thinking. So you're going to be very, very introspective, looking at the psychology of things, wanting to get to the bottom of things and understand the why, why am I with this person? Why did they behave like that to me? Why am I taking this course in life, this path in life? Why did I go and study psychology or something? That answering the whys of your life and the lives of people around you, you're just going to want to be digging deep to garner some sort of understanding. I'll just mention this. If you are digging deep psychologically and philosophically, then one YouTube channel that I found very helpful was the School of Life. It's got so many little, snippet videos that do deep dives in a 5-minute space into very pertinent topics about relationships, about career, just philosophy in general. Like a great it is a great website, but it's also a really great YouTube channel. If you're going to do that deep dive, there's a mechanism that can support you. You might also be dealing with a lot of psychological hang-ups now, but psychological hang-ups that have to do with, other people's money, being able to lean on other people and depend on other people's resources. There might be, just trying to think of an example, a partner, like this is the house of the partner's resources. So your marriage partner or a business partner's resources. There might be some psychological fears that bubble to the surface now, Gemini, about, okay, I'm trying to think of an illustration. Okay, if my partner loses his job or her job, what's going to happen to our money, the money that we depend on to live? And so a fear about, okay, if I lost my business partner, if I lost my marriage partner, oh my goodness, my insecurity is coming up because I'm thinking, oh my God, if they lose their job, I'm not going to be able to pay the bills and I'm not going to be able to put food on the table and blah, blah, blah. Worrying, because Mercury is worrying about our partner's resources. Just know, if that happens, it's just a result of the energy of this day. It doesn't mean your partner's going to lose their job or the business is going to go kaput or something like that. It's just an energy that might lead to worry because of Pluto Mercury. Okay, so just see it for what it is and don't give in. Observe it with a detached manner. Don't give in to the fear. There could be some shocking, unexpected, sort of confrontational experiences with words. So someone might send you a really awful email, okay? And if that's the case, roll with the punches, like, oh, okay, Mercury Pluto day, I'll just pop it in the bin and ignore it, Somebody might, verbally attack you in some way as well, try to manipulate you with words, try to oppress you with their words. See it for what it is, the energy of the day. Don't buy into it. Don't give it any credence. Don't let it drag you down and ruin your vibration, okay? It's just the energy of the day. Now, what does Mercury rule in a Gemini chart? Well, it rules you. So I see that actually, despite all the negative things that I've just talked about, Pluto, in its positive sense, is empowerment. I see that you are going to be empowered in some way on this day, my Gemini friends. Maybe empowered in your speech, maybe empowered in your ability to communicate your thoughts and your ideas. Maybe you're going to be empowered in your physical body. You're going to feel more energized, more like going for that 5K run after work or something than ever before. Like there's an energization of, if that's even a word, of your body, of you, of your presence in the world. Your aura might be really, on fire as well, because the 8th house has to do with our chakras and auras, and this Mercury rules Gemini, the house of the body for you. So yeah, definitely that could be energized and empowered as well. You might be just feeling more vital, more alive. Virgo, also is ruled by Gemini, and Virgo is the house of the home. So I gave an example because Mercury also rules for a Pisces rising person, their 4th house. I gave an example about a renovation that's occurring for me on this day. And Pluto rules renovation and transformation. So there could be a transformation occurring in your home. And if it's not physically in your home, with a renovation or, paint a new wall a different color or put some new cushions on the couch or something, it could be that some dynamic is empowered with your mother figure or your family, or how you're parenting could be enhanced and empowered in some way under this influence. Thank you, Gemini. All right. Cancer rising, Cancer sun, Cancer moon people. You're going to need my little doodaddy. Okay, for my Cancer lovely friends, this energy of Pluto conjunct with Mercury is occurring for you in your 7th house. So this is the house of everyone who's not you, basically everybody else, the public, other people, your audience, your clients. It's also your significant other, your partner, committed partners, business partnerships. So I think you're going to be thinking very, very deeply, Cancer, on the 11th about the dynamic of the relationships that you've got with business partners, with committed partners, with clients. Going to be very much in the forefront of your mind. You will also be dealing with psychological hang-ups that you've got about relationships, Cancer. You know, it would pay to have a journal handy to write down about inner fears, inner insecurities regarding relationships. They're going to surface on this day. You know, you will also, I would suggest, want to do some introspective work about relationships. So it's a good idea to get a relationship self-help book from somebody reputable, or listen to a video by Esther Perel or something like that. And School of Life is also another good one for relationship deep dives and understanding the dynamics of relationship, because you're going to want to go there. You're going to want to understand relationships and your place in relationships. You're going to want to also deal with any paranoias that happen to rear their ugly head under this influence. Don't shove it under the carpet. When with a Pluto influence, we try to, sweep it under the carpet and hide it from our own consciousness. If there's a paranoia, if there's an insecurity, when we do that, Pluto is just going to make it miserable for us in the long run. It is much better when a Pluto is involved in an energy to expose it and deal with it. That can be hard. It's like, ripping off the Band-Aid and dealing with the mucky, infected sore that's sitting there, We just have to expose it and we have to treat it, Bit of betadine on it or whatever. And in this case, betadine might be talking things out with a partner, writing down our concerns, okay? Also, I just want to point out that Pluto-Mercury conjunction in the 7th house can lead to verbal power struggles. Maybe, a secret that you've been keeping from your business partner comes out under this influence. And, you've got to deal with it because secrets expose. Maybe your partner's been keeping a secret from you and it comes out now to be dealt with under this energy. If a business partner or a marriage partner has been manipulating you or oppressing you through their words, putting the guilts on you, trying to keep you under the thumb in some manner of control, it's going to be exposed on this day. Be prepared for that. It could ramp up under this energy. But if you know it's coming, energetically where it's coming from, you can be like, no, I'm going to remain calm. I'm cool with this because I see it for what it is. And I'm not going to be sucked into this whirlwind anymore. Okay? So verbal power struggles coming from a significant partner, business partner, marriage partner, etc. Okay, Cancer, what does Mercury rule in your chart? Because it's going to be empowered by this conjunction. Mercury rules your 12th house. I think for many of you beautiful Cancer friends, people from the past, your ancestors, especially like I'm talking deceased ancestors, they're watching over you right now and they'll be pulling the strings to empower you. And I would say empowering you in situations that have to do with relationship difficulties. They've got your back. If you let's say you encounter a verbal power struggle on the 11th, you could say a quick prayer to, oh, Grandma, give me a hand, give me the right words to say, ask those deceased loved ones who are watching over you for the right words, the right wisdom, for empowerment, because, hey, that's what Pluto is all about, empowerment of your 12th house Lord. So that's one way to enable you to work with that energy well. Also, Mercury rules your 3rd house. So if you are somebody, my Cancer friends, who has a small business or somebody who's trying to get a venture off the ground with your talents, your abilities, know that this energy is on this day is going to be empowered. Your ability to utilize your talents or your special knowledge or your special message you've got for the world is empowered on the 11th. And it's likely to be empowered through a connection with somebody. So, I don't know, somebody invites you on their podcast, it goes viral, you have extreme success, because somebody else, house of other people, empowers you through, sharing your message, sharing your website, sharing your YouTube channel, sharing your small business. That's what I'm seeing with that. But you know what? So Mercury is past lives and people who have passed on, and it's also the house of talents and abilities and small business that's going to get empowered. How lovely. Leo rising, sun or moon people. The energy of Pluto conjuncting with, conjuncting with Mercury is falling in the 6th house for my lovely Leos. Okay, this is happening on the 11th of February, and this is the 6th house energy. It is where we're going to be doing some really deep, focal thinking about our daily routine. Maybe something happens for you, Leo, around the 11th of February, and your daily routine stands to be absolutely transformed and changed. Maybe I'm a Leo. I'm going to use this example. About a week ago, my mum rang me out of the blue and said, Sen, Dad's had a heart attack. We're coming to the hospital in Bendigo in the ambulance. Can I please live with you for the next few days? Well, there was my daily routine completely blown out of the water because I had to make space for somebody else coming into my life. Transformation of daily routine. Okay, so I'm not saying that you're going to get a call that your dad's having a heart attack and that sort of thing. And by the way, my dad is fine. Thank you, everybody. He had a balloon put through his arteries and cleared things out, and he's doing better than ever. So thanks be to the universe for that one. So what I'm saying is that there is likely to be a significant transformation because of what happens around the 11th of February to your daily routine. Somebody might be coming to live with you and change the dynamic of your daily life. Maybe some change in the workplace or a change to your health and well-being, change to your diet that, transforms your daily routine. This is also the house of paying the bills, the everyday humdrum, ordinary things that we detest. We Leo people just hate. Ugh, who wants to deal with all that? We're too big picture for that. We're too, king of the jungle to be dealing with the humdrum, It's hard. But that's what this 6th house is all about. And so if you have any hang-ups about, paying the bills, insecurities about, how to get by on a day-to-day basis, you might find that they come to the surface now. Now, as a Leo, sometimes I put my... confession time, I put my bills to the side. I'll worry about that later. I'll think about that when I can be bothered, And sometimes it comes back to haunt me because that's just how I am. Maybe that's a bit of Pisces coming through too. These kinds of behaviors, these kinds of psychological hang up, I don't want to deal with the bills, can come to the surface to be dealt with under this energy as well. So deal with it before it becomes an issue is all I'll just say to my beautiful Leo friends, okay? Lest they come to the surface and be a pain in the neck. Now, this is also a house of conflict. And Pluto conjunct Mercury can be an energy in its shadow side of verbal power struggles. So somebody might be manipulating you. Somebody might be out and out abusing you. Somebody might send you an email saying, how dare you, you have no integrity, blah, blah, blah. That could happen on this day. So don't be surprised if that occurs. And if it does, well, hey, there's Pluto, Mercury. That goes straight in the bin. I'm going to ignore that. Conflict, confrontation can happen because of this combination. This is also a house of where whatever's going on in this house in your chart is where we struggle and why. So there could be some struggles that result from somebody's words, somebody's email, somebody says something to you and they don't even intend it to be offensive, but it just, hits you right to the core and your sensitive soul is wounded by something that was said in all innocence. So it could be that there is a struggle as a result of something that was said, something that was communicated to you, okay? That's the shadow side of this energy. But in the positive, Mercury, what does it rule in a Leo person's chart? It rules Virgo, which is the second house. And Pluto empowers whatever it touches. So I feel for a lot of our Leo friends, there is going to be an empowerment of finances under this energy. You might, it's not a house of windfalls, but you might just get, more of an income than you usually would for some reason. Maybe you had to work on a public holiday and you get time and a half and you're like, oh, I forgot about that. Boom, look at that extra bonus in my bank account. That sort of thing. Pluto empowering the Mercury, finances and resources we need for our survival and thrival on the planet. So yay, big thumbs up there, Leo. But also Mercury happens to rule Gemini. That is our house of friendships. So there's an empowerment of friendships. You might make a new friend on this day, or join a new social group. You might find that your connections expand in some way. Your networks grow. This is actually really cool for Leo. I've only just sort of twigged. Mercury is your planet, your financial significator, because it rules the second house and the 11th house, which is two wealth houses in Vedic astrology. So the conjunction of Mercury with Pluto on this day is empowering of your ability to achieve profit and reward and gain for some work that you've done. So, you might have put a project that you've done out there, or some piece of work as part of your career out there, and it's really taken up today and valued and appreciated and starts to flourish for you. So lovely, lovely energy in that regard, my lovely Leo friends. Now, Virgo rising, Virgo sun, Virgo moon people. Dum, da, da, dum. This energy, do we need our thing? Yes, we do. This energy of Pluto conjunct Mercury is falling in your 5th house, Virgo. So this is what you're going to be thinking, focusing your thoughts and thinking deeply on. And it happens to be on children. You'll be thinking very much about your children, not necessarily worrying about your children, but there's some deep thinking. Where are they heading? What are they doing? What does their life entail? How are they going to survive and thrive? Deep, deep thoughts about the purpose and mission and, trajectory of your children. You will also be thinking deeply about your lovers as well, or lover as the case may be. So singular. Boyfriend, girlfriend. Lots of deep thinking, pondering. Is this the right person for me? I'm crazy about them, but are they going to be good for me in the long run? That kind of deep introspective work about a lover. And also deep thinking about your creative self. Am I really putting my best self out there for the world to see? Should I release that book? Should I self-publish it, or should I try and get a contract with a publishing company? Like, what's the best way to go ahead? Like deep thinking, deep introspective, like, what if, what shall I do? Problem solving even about creative work. Now, if you've got any psychological hang-ups about your children, if you were raised in a difficult family, let's say, and you're a bit like, am I going to mess my child up? If you've got any inner fears or insecurities about how your children are turning out for some reason or another, those things could pop up for you to deal with, like another layer of the onion on that issue again. So deep psychological hang-ups. If you are a person who, let's use an example. Let's say you've never had a love relationship because there's so many fears and insecurities about connecting with another person, about giving and receiving love, 5th house energy. Any insecurities that you've had could bubble up to the surface. And it's a great idea to talk with a friend or to write about these things in a journal. Deal with that layer of heartbreak and sadness if you've got insecurities around love relationships. And I get a lot of people wanting readings for me on that topic because it is one of the most key topics in our life. This is our house of joy. No coincidences that it's also the house of love. So if we are not experiencing love in our life, then we are also lacking a sensation of joy because they're one and the same. So any psychological hang-ups and insecurities and fears around love and experiencing love and any self-sabotaging behaviors around love, they can come up into your conscious awareness now. And if they do, deal with them. Read those psychological or self-help books. Speak to a friend. Do something to deal with that layer so that it can be released and composted. Pluto is to compost and let go out of your life. Okay. I just finally, there might be some power struggles verbally with children or lovers. You might have a bit of, argy-bargy going on, some sort of manipulation, child's trying to twist you around their little finger or something like that. That could also happen. Pluto is manipulation and Mercury is our communications with people of a fifth house nature. So I just want to point that out too. But in the positive sense, what does Mercury rule in a Virgo chart? Well, it rules you guys. It rules the body. It rules who you are, Virgo. It's your first house lord. So you are going to be empowered in some way, in a blessed way. This is a lucky house too. I feel that your body is going to be enhanced. You're probably going to have a lot of vitality and enthusiasm. I feel that you're going to feel like taking on the world, like you can win and achieve whatever you want to. I think that this is like a beautiful energy for you to utilize, because Pluto is empowering you and the planet that rules you today, Virgo. So live it up. Take a risk. This is the house of taking a risk, stepping out of your comfort zone. Take a risk. Try something new, because you are going to be held by the universe, empowered by the universe because of Pluto's energy today. Now, also in your chart, Mercury also rules the 10th house. I think that your career is going to be enhanced under this energy and empowered under this energy. Your reputation, how the world sees you and perceives you is going to be uplifted. Your social recognition can rise under this day and be empowered in some way. And especially because this is occurring in the 5th house. This is the house of celebrity and popularity. And you've got Pluto empowering the 10th house lord, social recognition, leadership qualities, career success. So definitely a chance to be more popular in some way. It might just mean that you get a few more followers on your YouTube channel or something, or it could mean that your latest book that you've written sells out. Some sort of popular experience of popularity. So that's what we're seeing when we're looking at this combination for a Virgo person. How lovely. Alrighty. Now for our lovely Libras. I always have lovely Libras and lovely Leos. I would appreciate if you want to leave a comment in the comment section about some ideas for, other signs that start with their letter. I'm just trying to think of one. Terrific Taurus. There we go. If you've got some other suggestions for other signs, I would really appreciate that very, very much. Okay, so for our lovely Libras, the energy of Pluto conjunct Mercury is falling in the 4th house. So this is where our thinking is going to be going on the 11th. We're going to be thinking a lot about our home, about our family life, our relationship with our parents, the way we're parenting our children, dynamics, relationships between us and our children, all going to be at the forefront of our mind. We might be doing some deep and meaningful thinking around those topics. We also might find that if we have any psychological hang-ups about how we're parenting, or, am I ruining my kids? Am I being too indulgent? Am I being too strict? If we've got any kind of worries or fears or insecurities in that realm, they're going to come to the surface now too. Might be a good idea to find a friend who's maybe a really good parent or has really good relationships with a parental figure, and just share any insecurities or write them down in a journal. Really thrash these things out so that you can peel back that layer and release it from your life. They're going to come to the surface now, these topics to do with home, family, and relationships with children and parents. And so let them come up, deal with them as they come up, and let them float off into the ether. Be free. If you are also dealing with family issues, there might be some power struggles at the moment in a verbal sense. Mum might be trying to manipulate you. You might find that you are oppressing, your children with the words that you say, and you might think, oh my goodness, I didn't realize I was doing this, but today I'm aware of it. I'm seeing it. Oh my goodness, I've been oppressing my children through my words. So these sorts of things will come to light. Verbal power struggles, either from you to your children or from your parents to you, can be exposed under this energy. So be aware of that, Libras. It could, something might happen that might trigger that for you in your life. But in the good sense of the word, no, before I get to that, I want to just mention Pluto is a planet of transformation. And lo and behold, he is transforming Mercury in the 4th house. So it could be that you are also in the process of renovating or transforming your home, making your home more beautiful. With a change of season, there can also be a tendency to, spruce things up a bit, make things look, more spring-like if you're living in the Northern Hemisphere, or moving into that autumnal feel in the Southern Hemisphere. This can all be a part of the journey. Now, in a Libran chart, Mercury happens to rule your 12th house. So it's very possible that there are some people who have passed on and passed over who are helping pull the strings for you in some way, my Libran friends, who are giving you advice from the beyond, who are encouraging you, giving you a shove in a certain direction, because Pluto is to empower what Mercury rules. And Mercury in your chart rules past lives, it rules deceased ancestors and loved ones. So their presence in your life is empowered. Now, I'm a Libra moon, I was very, very close to my Nana. So under this energy, I might expect that my Nana, maternal figure, 4th house, who is now deceased, Mercury ruling the 12th house, might communicate with me in some way. Might I might stumble across a photo of hers and just remember something that she said to me, or I might hear her favorite song. It's running through my head right now as I'm talking about this. And it might be some sort of guiding light for us in some way. So be aware that could be part of what is experienced around the 11th of Feb. Not only that, but Mercury also rules Gemini, the 9th house. And so very much for a Libran person, Gemini is ruling 2 spiritual houses. I am seeing empowerment of your spiritual life for my Libran people. You're going to feel closer to God, closer to the divine. You probably get light bulb moments, messages from spirit coming through. Really, it's even possible that you will feel lighter, freer, more adventurous, more expansive because of something that occurs for you under this energy on the 11th of February. So something wonderful to look forward to, I think, for our Libran people. The 9th house is also a house of blessing. Pluto is empowering the house of blessing for you, or the ruler of the house of blessing. So some blessing could be coming your way, my beautiful Libran friends. And isn't that wonderful? Yay! Alrighty, Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun, Scorpio moon, friends. Well, for my lovely Scorpio people, the conjunction of Mercury with Pluto is occurring in your 3rd house. So this is where we're going to be doing a lot of deep thinking on the 11th of February when this occurs, maybe a day before, maybe a day after. You might be thinking a lot about starting a new business, or sharing a particular message that you've got with the world. What is the message that divine has laid on your heart to share and get out there? You might be thinking a lot about siblings, or you might be thinking a lot about certain friendships that you have as well. You might be, if you're a student, worrying and thinking deeply about tests or exams, which are represented from the 3rd house too. You might be thinking very deeply about some sort of trade arrangement, or a contract, or an agreement to do with trading, buying, selling, that might be on the cards for you also. So that could be where that mental energy takes you. Now, I will also suggest that this is the realm where some deep psychological hang-ups might suddenly surface. If you've got inner fears or insecurities about the relationship dynamic with your siblings or a relative, if you've got deep insecurities about your ability to perform well in a test or exam, these sorts of 3rd house topics can rise to the surface now and become, certain points of worry for you. Talk about those issues with a friend. I mean, another issue might be, you want to start your own business, but you're petrified that you might fail, because the 3rd house is to run your own business or to put your own talents and skills out there in the world. Well, find somebody who's got your back to talk to, or write about your fears and insecurities in a journal entry. Maybe buy some psychological books dealing with your particular insecurity and address it. Don't shove it under the rug and ignore it and hope it'll go away. It's coming to the surface as Pluto brings all things to the surface so that it can be composted, dealt with, and then let go of. Okay? So make sure you deal with and don't run away from any deep problems that come to the surface. Now, also, this Pluto conjunction with Mercury can indicate some verbal power struggles might ensue between you and a relative or a neighbor. Even a friend might be the case. If that is the case, know that it's just the energy of Mercury Pluto, nothing to get too worried about. Things might blow over in a couple of days, and so don't get too hung up about that. Now, in a Scorpio chart, what does Mercury rule? Well, it happens to rule the 11th house, and whatever Pluto touches, it empowers, it strengthens. Big time. So it's empowering certain friendships, certain connections, certain networks in your life. It might be empowering a website that you have released. The 11th house has to do with websites. So there is an empowerment of 11th house things. And of course, 11th house happens to be a house of profit and gainfulness. So it could well be for our Scorpio friends that some sort of profit and financial success is on the cards. It could also be that a dream or a goal is empowered in your life too. If you're working towards some aspiration, you could really take some giant leaps forward on that path under this energy. Also, in a Scorpio chart, Mercury rules Gemini, your 8th house. So I do feel that there is a strong transformational energy that's occurring in your life. I think life could, turn on a dime, as they say. Lots of transformation that might happen. Probably to do with third house things, maybe if you do start a small business, it's really going to change your life. It's really going to turn your life around and transform everything. That's what that could represent. 8th house is big change, like shocking change that comes out of the blue that we don't plan for. And it's also renovation, like to turn something around, to bring something up out of the ashes and raise it to life again. So, it could be that you are empowered to, renovate your car, or if you renovate a car, you pimp your ride, don't you? You might be pimping your ride today under this energy and transforming your car or transforming a piece of furniture with your skills and talents and abilities. There is this energy of big transformation and helping something rise up from the ashes and be reborn. It could be you that's being reborn. It could be a friendship with a sibling, or a relationship with a sibling or a friend. It could be a business, a small business that is rising from the ashes under this influence as well. So there's great empowerment and great ability to rise up under this influence. And finally, thanks for waiting till last, my beautiful Saggy friends. Saggy rising, Saggy sun, Saggy moon. You're going to stay there? Yes, you are. Thank you, Saggy. Mercury conjunct Pluto is falling in your 2nd house. Now, this is where a lot of your mental energy is going to go around the 11th, day before, day after too. What are you going to be thinking about? Deeply about, pondering on what you need to thrive and survive, what you need to live, your food, your shelter, your clothing. Where's your income going to come from? How are you going to make money? How are you going to be self-sufficient in this life and make a way for yourself to thrive and survive? This is going to be where the mental energy is very focused for our Sagittarius friends. And if you've got any psychological hang-ups or insecurities about money, about where the money's coming from, how you're going to generate, a living for yourself. If you've got any insecurities about your self-worth and self-value, your ability to succeed financially in the world, those things are going to come to the surface now. If you've got any self-doubt, it's going to come up. It's going to come up so that you will compost it and deal with it. If you sweep it under the carpet and ignore it and say, hey, don't worry about it, I'm just going to get on with my life, then you're not doing the work. Pluto wants you to do the work. Where are you, digging into self-sabotage and it's holding you back financially? Well, time to deal with that. Maybe talk it out with somebody or find a financial counselor and get some perspective. Write about it in a journal. It's time to deal with any money and value issues that you've got that are holding you back. You might have some verbal power struggles with somebody over money also around the 11th. You know, you might be going head to head with somebody about how they're spending money, the way they handle money. They're taking too much money from you. Bank accounts, you shouldn't have access to my bank account. What are you doing? Da, 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 da. Those sorts of big arguments, big conversations might take place. Any secrets about money might come out, might be exposed under this influence. If someone's been, accessing your account and spending it in an inappropriate way, that might come to light. If somebody is being financially oppressive of you, Sagittarius, that's going to be exposed too. Time to do something about it. So be prepared, forewarned, forearmed, that you might need to address some sort of financial oppression and communicate strongly about that. And finally, what does Mercury rule in a Sagittarius chart? Well, Mercury rules the 10th house for a start. And whenever the Lord of the 10th house is in a conjunction with Pluto, that theme, 10th house, gets enhanced. So for many Sagittarius people today, their career could be empowered. Their social reputation, their presence out there in the world could be empowered and enhanced in some way. So if you've been working on some sort of new career idea, new career direction, new way you want to be recognized in the world, Sagittarius friends, this is your day for making great strides forward. Being seen more, being recognized more, achieving more popularity, being having more visible success in the world. Thank you to Pluto's enhancement. It could also mean, because this is a house of career, it could mean that you're getting well remunerated for a career situation as well under this influence. Now, also Mercury in a Sagittarius chart rules the 7th house of partnership. So it could be that's something to do with a committed partner, something to do with like a business partner, marriage partner, that sort of thing. Receive some form of empowerment today. So, maybe you're in a business situation with somebody and your business just goes great guns, because the 7th house is a business house as well as a relationship house. It's the 10th house from the 10th. That's why. So a business situation, maybe you've got a business that you're in with you've gone in cahoots with someone, in a partnership with someone. It can really be, given a lift today, empowered to more success, greater success under this influence. And of course, all these houses, the 7th house of connections, partnerships, the house of money and the house of career, they're all tied together. Maybe somebody talks about your work on their podcast, and so somebody else shares your career aspirations, the message that you're putting out there into the world on their podcast, and it generates more income for you. So it could look like that. Somebody blessing and empowering your career that pays off for you in a big way. So that's one of the ways this could play out. But certainly I'm seeing empowerment of your life through the blessing of somebody else. So that's what I'm seeing, my beautiful friends, with the conjunction of Pluto and Mercury. May this week be a blessing to you, and I look forward to sharing another Astro Weather Report with you next week.